Sitting back and looking at how, especially things are playing out now with respect to accountability and taking responsibility for what is done by leadership, are you concerned that we are not making progress in solving the leadership problem that we're faced with as a country? Prof.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very important question. I believe that we haven't made any headway, and we've had leadership crisis for a very, very long time. This is not recent. Not only Ghana, but Africa as a whole. After all, leadership is, the function of leadership is to meet the necessities of a population. Maybe any biological population. It can be a family, can be a group of ants, termites, human beings. So human beings, our basic needs are food, shelter, clothing, health, and defense. These are the basic needs that leadership has to provide. And beyond this are ways to prepare the population for future challenges or emerging challenges such as climate change, globalization, and so on. So leadership is very important. But there are certain qualities that we should have, and we haven't had that for a long time.
We haven't had the quality you're going to talk about in leaders in this country?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about it.
We can sing Art Nkrumah because he came and he wanted to do something. I have not attended any leadership seminar before, but from my own life, if you want to achieve something, if you want to leave a legacy, if you want to do something for your people, you have to sacrifice, And so we haven't had that kind of leadership. When I'm talking about leadership, I'm not talking about one person, but close leadership that has an aim. Let's take the U.S. There are several examples. For example, if we take the U.S., the signatories of the Independence Declaration, when they met together in the State House of Pennsylvania, they said, look, God has, all men are created equal and endowed by their nature with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And when they said all that, they made a very profound statement. And they said that in support of this declaration, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our worth, and sacred honor. See, they pledged their lives, their worth, and sacred honor so that America will survive. And there were 56 people. We haven't had that kind of focused, dedicated leadership prepared to sacrifice for the unborn generation. It hasn't happened. And we should, and sometimes we don't even consider character. Ghana, we don't consider character. We see people who have bad character, we think that when they become president or leaders, they'll change. No. The position will expose who they are. So this is what I'm saying, that character, dedication, focus, being prepared to sacrifice for the people, and giving hope. And this is one thing that worries me. 3 things worry me in this Ghana right now. Hope. See, young people have lost hope in old people, in national systems and so on. And they are going out. We see it from the hospitals and so on. You go to work and then your doctor is not dead, the nurse is not dead, the Christian is gone, and they've lost hope. And then this corruption that we don't want to mention in public, it's a worry. And also how we treat the environment. We treat our national environment. These are the things that will ensure our long-term survival.
You talk about lost hope on the part of the young people. You concede that your generation of old people, you failed us. You this group of leaders, you failed us, the young people.
Yeah, young people are entitled to say that. I have children, I have grandchildren, I know what they tell me, but I don't want to be among a group that has failed these young people. I want to say something, I want to do something so that something can be done, restore hope to young people. Right. But as you said, yes, in a way, because when I entered the University of Ghana many, many years ago, I think there were about just 3,000 students in the university. And I had a room to myself. I think the first year I shared, from second year or third year, I had my own room. we had stewards, people coming to dress our best. We were given toilet roll thrice a week. You could go to a dining hall and eat 3 times a day or something. I mean, it was fantastic. We live free, but we grow up, people my age, maybe younger and a little bit older, and instead of maintaining that kind of system where students will get accommodation on campus, we spend money, build hostels, so that the students will come and rent and we get money. That is one thing that I really see that is wrong.
You talk about corruption, really, and consistently when this matter comes up, the government of the day has indicated they are actually winning and making progress with the fight against corruption in this country. What's your verdict?
You see, if we have a beautiful country like Ghana, 234,000 square kilometers, intelligent people at home and abroad, a lot of resources, and so on, and you are still in this situation, then there's something wrong. And then the thing that is wrong is corruption. That will not, is not helping us to develop. I don't think we've gotten grips of it. Anybody who tells you that you are fighting it seriously is not telling you the truth, or I don't consider it as something that is serious.
Well, that's what the president says, that the government is doing well in the fight against corruption.
Well, the president has his opinion and he's entitled to it, but I disagree with him. But the point is, let's not be personal about this leadership thing. Let us define it so not only for what is happening now, so that the next leader or the next government will know what to do. That leading this country will mean sacrificing, that it's not you and your family that should enjoy, make money, disrespect us, and then expect us to worship you. No. We are in charge of millions of people, and you are the leader. We must sacrifice for the survival of this country, giving hope to young people and the generations that are yet to come.
Dr. Kennedy, with what we find ourselves now as a country and what lies ahead of us, what kind of leader does Ghana need, really, with the experience that we've had over the last 8 years and gone by and beyond?
Good morning to your audience and to Professor Frimpong Boateng. He is a mentor and a friend, and I respect his contributions to this country a lot. Talking about what kind of leader we need, I think misstates the question. I think the question should be what kind of leadership do we need? I say that because what we need doesn't necessarily have to come from an individual, it has to come from many sectors. So Professor Monet said nothing is possible without individuals, but nothing is lasting without institutions. We need both individual leaders who can build and stand up institutions. And then we need institutions that are strong enough that they make the good virtues and leadership things enduring. When we talk of leadership, I am hoping after December 7 that we'll have it from a lot of sectors. For example, I think parliamentary leadership will be crucial to taking Ghana to where it needs to go. Executive leadership and accountability, as the Prof has alluded to about corruption, I think Parliament will have a very good role to play. I think after we saw what has happened in the last few months, judicial leadership that is exemplary and independent is very important. Judicial leadership that will not, in effect, carry water for the executive or for a particular party, but do the nation's business. Judicial leadership that will have protected somebody like Domilovo so he could do his work. So judicial leadership is very important. There are also other institutions, like, for example, the Electoral Commission, so that it will give us clean, transparent elections, the security services, so that we do not go to elections this late in the 20th century and lose fellow citizens. We lost 9 of them in 2020. And even during the Peace Pact, not much time was spend mourning their loss. So all these institutions, the media, like people like you, the work that you do informing the nation, all those things are segments of leadership. And there is even citizenship leadership. I know that in the last few days, they've reported that there's a security guard at Legon who said, no, I won't sell my vote, when people were trying to buy his vote, and because of that, he got into trouble. That is exemplary leadership from the ground by a citizen. But when we talk of leadership, or the way you framed it, we talk of presidential leadership. And that too is very, very important. I think that Prof. Frimpong Boateng started us on the conversation about selflessness, which is indispensable to good leadership. But when we talk of defining leadership, we're talking of people like LBJ, what do they call it? President Roosevelt, both Theodore and FDR, Lee Kuan Yew. And the reason I mention these people is that Lee Kuan Yew, for example, inherited a backward nation that had been rejected by Malaysia, and he said, we'll build this into a shining city on a hill. That will be an example. And he transformed it from the third to first world while respecting democratic tenets. I remember LBJ, who, when he became president of the United States after the death of John Kennedy, wanted to do civil rights. And somebody warned him, he said, if you do that, your party, the Democratic Party, will lose the South for a generation or two. And LBJ said something I think every leader should write in bold letters and put down. He said, but if we don't do these things that are important, what will be the point of the presidency? It means that the presidency is for doing big things for your population, like Mandela, who saw the need for unity, like Lincoln, who assembled a cabinet of his best talents because he said this nation is in crisis. So I'm hoping that the next president can bring us together. He can unite us. As Richard Nixon said on the night he won the presidency, he said, I spent the whole year traveling around, but one day in Ohio, I went to a rally, and as my train was moving away, I saw an 8-year-old girl holding a placard, and the placard simply said, bring us together. I want a president who will bring us together and inspires, like Prof said, so our youth will not lose confidence in our country. I want a president who will fight corruption and insist on accountability. And when we say fight corruption, we don't mean setting up needless bodies that will do nothing while you and your cronies continue to loot the country. The truth of the matter is that over the last so many years, except maybe for Nkrumah, most of our ruling classes, the goal has been organizing as a cabal to transfer wealth from public sector into private hands so that we'll enrich individuals. That is why Africa is a continent where we have so many successful individuals, but our societies are failing. I want a president who will fight poverty by creating jobs, by getting off the back of media, by making sure that we don't play favorites in business promotion. So good, strong businessmen can create jobs so our young men and women will not be crossing the Sahara or getting into leaky boats to cross the Atlantic and others for greener pastures elsewhere. And I want strong institutions like the Supreme Court, like Parliament, like Accountant General and Auditor General's Department. I want institutions that will work so that when a Ghanaian looks at them, he will have confidence in our future. I want to see in my lifetime a president who will finish his term and walk out and have a higher approval rating and admiration from the public than the day he took over the presidency. That is what I mean by leadership.
I see, but what we have now, we saw President Akufo-Addo enjoy a very high approval rating, in fact, from 2016. The results of that election is quite clear. But with what is happening now, how would your approval rating be as he exits?
Oh, he has been a failed president. And I actually think, of course, as they say, judgment is always in the bosom of history, but I think this has been the worst president of the Fourth Republic.
Oh, it's been the worst president of the Fourth Republic? Why is that?
Oh, corruption, incompetence, the National Cathedral picking the boss of Public Procurement Authority, who himself was a clearing agent for corruption, selling contracts on the side, undermining our public institutions, from Auditor General to the Supreme Court to the Electoral Commission. How much time do you have? Yeah. I can go on and on.
So that's what informs your verdict on President Akufo-Addo?
And it should inform all our verdicts. I mean, these are objective facts that all Ghanaians can relate to. Actually, I feel sorry for Dr. Bawumia because the presidency of Nana Akufo-Addo has become an albatross around the neck of his campaign.
Well, he sought to disassociate himself from a number of the issues. Has that been effectively done from what you said?
No, it has not been effectively and honestly done. I mean, you cannot, what do they call it, muddy the water from upstream and then come downstream to complain that the water is dirty. You know, you cannot be acknowledged and acclaimed and celebrated as the most consequential vice president in our history and then come down and say you didn't know anything about the policies. There is a way of separation, but I don't think it has been done. But I don't want to focus on the campaign. I'm talking about President Akufo-Addo's leadership. And I want to say that I have been disappointed. And I say this not in anger, but in sadness. I really admired him and expected a lot from him. But he has not delivered. And he has not failed alone. A lot of people helped him fail.
Dr. Arthur Kennedy, thank you very much for this. Well, Professor Kwabena Frimpong, you say a lot of people also could be held accountable for that failure in leadership we are seeing now in this administration, as you have spoken about?
Well, I don't want to talk about failure in this administration. He said enough. But I'm looking forward that there are examples. I mean, we cannot reinvent the wheel. He mentioned Singapore. You see, in 1959, when Lee Kuan Yew became prime minister, he said this. He said, I saw the greed and decadence among some Asian leaders and had a sense of mission not to do that. And so he came up with a credit program based on science and technology and transformed Singapore, which in 1819 was a village, a fishing village with 120 men. You know, 1814, we were signed the bond of 1844. Yeah. So he transformed this country from nowhere to where we are now. So if you have somebody who is dedicated, he wants to do something, sacrifice for the people. But you see, the thing is, what he said about Ghana, many people don't know that Lee Kuan Yew visited Ghana in 1966. And in Nkrumah, let me quote what he said. He said, my fears for the people of Ghana were not misplaced. Notwithstanding their rich cocoa plantations, gold mines, and water dam, which could generate enormous amount of power, Ghana's economy sank into disrepair and has not recovered the early promise it held out at independence. It's all here, page 256 in this book. You know, and many things, what he said about us.
I see.
So, and you see, leadership should also understand certain international, you see, Africa will sit down for foreign companies to evade taxes to the tune of $850 billion. And then we go around begging for $60 billion to run the party, for example.
Let me ask you a direct question.
Yes.
With this National Cathedral project, if you had to take a decision on that, what would that be? To support or to halt?
I don't know. I mean, I've not thought about that. I think there are people who have...
Was it a worthy consideration or a worthy part to have taken to commit the taxpayers' money?
Well, you know the answer, so let's...
What's the answer? I want to hear it from you.
No, I'm not going to comment on that. I mean, it's too bad. I don't want to comment.
You say it's too bad you don't want to comment?
No.
Well, that's a comment enough for me. But you talked about the third matter for you, lost hope, corruption, and the environment. You headed an interministerial committee on illegal mining. Mm-hmm. You put together a report, so many pages with so many recommendations. You had 5 court cases slapped on you as a result. Do you feel any sense of disappointment because you spent time putting together a report that was never implemented?
Yes, I'm disappointed, but I'm afraid for the future of this country.
Why?
If we are destroying the water bodies, if we are destroying the soil, if we are polluting the air, and getting rid of our farmlands, forests, and cocoa farms, then we are making sure that our next generation will not survive. But leadership is supposed to ensure the survival of meeting the basic needs. Look, the hunger that will come into this country will be phenomenal, I'm telling you.
The hunger as a result of illegal mining?
As a result of destruction of water bodies, farmlands, forests, and so on. And then the disappearance of our entire biodiversity, you know. Animals are struggling. I'm telling you, I keep on saying that if you look at bears, the birds of prey, the scavengers, vultures, and so on, see, they need tall trees to lay their eggs and brood and hatch them. But we've done away with all the trees. When was the last time you saw a vulture here in Accra or on your way to Winneba? We've got rid of all the tall trees. Not only that, the bears that brood on the ground, Akokophilia and those things, they're all gone because there's nowhere for them to brood and raise their chicks. So you imagine somebody from somewhere, space, coming to Accra with some machines, and every minute they are breaking down our homes, destroying our pipelines, putting down our electric pylons and so on. What do you think will happen? So this is what is happening in the bush. We are there with excavators destroying the homes and habitat of and their means of getting food to eat. And this is happening every day. This is more than earthquakes happening every day here in the city of Accra, and then the human beings will not have their livelihood and places to live.
The last time we started talking about, over the last 2-3 months, a number of things have happened when this renewed fight against illegal mining, the campaign, in fact, against illegal mining came up. UTAG went on strike. TUC, organized labor, in fact, threatened the strike. It didn't happen because they said we're giving government some time. UTAG had to also back down on it because they said some of their demands government had met. But to think that...
We didn't back down because government had met any demand. We decided to suspend the strike because at the time we're taking that decision, we felt that the government itself didn't even exist. Those that we are supposed to be meeting, you call them, oh, we are in our constituency. And the president didn't care. His vice president is on campaign, touring. And the reason why we went on strike was not just for the sake of it, but to put pressure on policymakers to take action. Okay? And so that's how come we have now prepared a pact with the leading presidential, aspirants, in this coming election. We are hoping to get them to sign the pact with us between now and the next week. We'll do so before the election. So not that they did something in fighting galamsey that led to our suspension. No, because we felt that they didn't care and we couldn't continue to romance the stone.
Well, I was coming to a point where, Professor Fomba, there are many who are saying that enough pressure was not brought to bear on government to take the necessary steps.
The government doesn't need any pressure. The pressure is the destruction of the water bodies and all the things that we see around. Now, if the government, even now at this late stage, the government can give an order for the dredging on the water bodies to stop. The government can give an order for mining in the forest reserves to stop. That should be the beginning. But I'm not going to say anything now. If we get a new government and they are serious about galamsey, then I can offer advice and as to how it should be handled. But for now, the instruction is there for everybody to see. There's no point for us to make too much noise about it. Let's address the next leader or the next leaders so that they take serious steps to stop because we are destroying ourselves. I cannot look. We have rivers, but they don't have any function. The rivers that you can't drink, you can't use to irrigate, you can't even ride your boat on it because it's full of debris, mud, and so on. The water is there; it cannot be used for anything. So basically, and all the rivers are affected, including the Kosovo Lake. We may not see it physically, but if the red water is down, the white water, the black water, and so Afram, all these things flowing into the lake, you see some of the heavy metals there, but the discoloration has not yet happened. But all the others, pra, and cobra, or fin, all these things, tano, they are all gone. And so it's a serious matter. We cannot, Ghana Water Company is finding it difficult even to produce water. To purify water for us.
Well, government responses to put together another military-led team.
I'm talking about Ghana Water. This is not military affair.
No, I'm talking about the recent campaign now. The response we've seen, Professor Bombati, government having the military now go around again.
Deploying a few people to go to a place. They leave and then the people go back to. I mean,
how effective was that?
That wasn't effective. I mean, and deliberate. If the soldiers themselves are going, they will tell them, "Hey, we are coming here, so today don't go there." And the people will not go. They will leave, and then the people. I mean, it clearly shows.
I asked this question because, and Prof. Dampo, thank you for this. I asked this question because, Professor Bombati, you, as part of your interministerial committee's work, had Operation Hawk, right?
Vanguard.
Operation Vanguard, which was led by the military, is it not?
Yes. And the police.
And the police. How effective was that, really?
See, I don't want to go into all these historical events. Let's look forward.
No, we look at history and juxtapose with the present to inform the future.
The thing is, whatever it is, I know too much about this subject that I don't feel like, saying much, but our performance has not been as a country, as a government. We've had the military from the beginning, and we were warned. I mean, the military. That's not a job for the military. We were saying that we don't engage the military over 3 months because they go in for and then go back to their barracks. But when you expose them to this, you destroy the Ghana Army. You have a very strong, respectable, good soldiers. I mean, look at the performance of our soldiers from Congo in the 60s, through the Middle East, Sudan, West Africa, and so on. The reputation of this, if we expose the soldiers to this kind of environment for 3 months, you begin to compromise their position. So there are a lot of things that went wrong. And let's look forward, hoping that the next government will take serious action against this. It will not cost us anything. And we will not lose anything, We will not lose anything, but we will gain a lot by restoring the water bodies, the forests, our farmlands, and so on, and our health.
So involving the military, from your perspective, was a no-no?
No, over a long period. I was told, some of the senior military people told me that this is not the function of the military. I mean, they can go in an emergency for a few weeks, or maybe 3 months, and then fall back. And then
But to have them involved for over almost a year.
Or 3 years or so, that was too much.
What was the risk of that?
You compromise their standards,
The long period of involvement of the military in the fight against illegal mining.
Yes.
Compromise their standards.
Their function is not local. They are supposed to be defending us against external aggression.
I see. And you see, when you talk about compromising their standards, because the reports that we, the media, put out about some of the military personnel being compromised, you headed that Ministerial Committee on Legal Mining. Did you come face-to-face with a situation like that, or did you hear anything of the sort?
Let's not dwell on these petty things, Let's look forward.
Well, it's important.
It's important, but let's make
don't
sure.
Don't you think so?
What I'm saying is that from what I heard from our senior, experienced people, military people, the soldiers should not be allowed to do this job for more than 3 months. To go in with a task or an aim, objective, when that is fulfilled, they go back to their barracks. And so we've learned a lot of things. I hope the next group of people will also learn. And actually, if we didn't have people in government, in the party, and close to power, doing this sort of thing, we would not have been in this mess at all. People who were supposed to help fight it are the very people who are doing it or promoting it in a way. So if you want to fight it from home. When you do that, then the rest will follow.
People in government and people close to power,
yes,
are involved in illegal mining?
In a way.
Say in a way, how do you mean?
Alfred.
Yes, sir.
As I said, I don't want to go into the details of this, but and also say things in that report. I wrote a report for the presidency. I'm not the one to publish it. So I'm not going to...
No, it's instructive if you say.
No, I'm not going... Yes, it may be instructive, but I'm not going to go that far to say things in that report because I don't have that report. I give it out. And so I want the recipients to publish it, not me.
Well, but we saw some of the people you named in that report in government and close to this government.
I don't know where you saw that report. I didn't publish it. So.
Well, it was put out. The details you didn't dispute, right? You see,
I can't want to say something.
The Ghanaian people are...
I really want to say something.
Yes. Dr. Kennedy, I brought you here for a reason, so that, you have the Ghanaian people speak. Yes, Dr. Kennedy, please.
The professor put out a report. He has been on the record. The truth of the matter is that he's saying diplomatically that everybody around galamsey is corrupt or has been corrupted. And you know that because you're a media person. So he says, let's look forward. Indeed, as far as I'm concerned, Professor Jampo's explanation about how they call off the strike is a little confusing because precisely the reason why they were on strike was to get the attention of government. So if they were distracted, that actually seems to tell me that the strike was justified. So to call it off, I don't get it. But yes, we should look forward. But when we look forward, we just discuss leadership. I think we seem to think in Ghana that everything is about presidential leadership. The military people, the police, the IGP, they all swear an oath to the Constitution. They see the polluted water. They see the environment that is disappearing. They see the trees. They see the birds of prey who are all disappearing because of stress on the environment. And they are saying that until the president becomes patriotic or becomes forward-looking and say, let's fight this, all of them can't fight it. What happened to swearing an oath to the Constitution? So yes, let's look forward. But the truth of the matter is that unless we have leaders who put our nation ahead of sectional interests, we'll never get anywhere. I don't understand why 80-year-olds would destroy their environment and watch pregnant women drinking polluted water and giving birth to deformed babies so they can have money to carry it with them to the grave. I just don't understand it. But like he says, let's look forward and hope that whoever the next president is, at least he will have some patriotism and vision and understand what people like Lee Kuan Yew and others did for their country so we can do the same for Ghana.
Professor Martin, what in the fight against illegal mining, what should the next leader do and not do to win or have at least a meaningful impact in the fight against illegal mining?
You should be committed to it and focus, and not be prepared to kill any holy cow. Make sure that whatever orders are given or objectives are set are met. And there are people around who can help him fight the fight. But the point is that the people, if you look at the Western region, the people who are supposed to be fighting the illegal mining are the same people who are doing it, you know. So that makes it very difficult. So the president should be, the next leader should be careful in his appointment, making sure that people who appoint are not going to be the same people who are going to undermine. Sometimes.
Why do you single out the Western region specifically?
Because it's a, you know, it's a place where the forests have been decimated. You know.
We've seen Etiwa in the Eastern region and some other places as well.
Which one?
Etiwa in the Eastern region.
Etiwa, Kobro Forest, Apaprama Forest, and so on. I mean, look, if you have a situation where the CEO of the Forestry Commission, you know, allows or gives permission for miners to enter 47 forest reserves.
47?
47 forest reserves.
And he gave them forest entry permit?
Yes.
I think that's in your report.
Yes. Yes, it's worrying. And then they say, oh, it's okay, you can mine the forest reserve. Then why is it forest reserve? I mean, it's worrying. I mean, I'm disturbed, but, you know, let's hope that we will all come together as people and know that we are we have to discuss issues that have bearing on our survival as a people. If we destroy our water, we see in the past, wars were fought because of water. All settlements in the world, people settled along waterways and so on. But if we are destroying the very thing that will ensure our survival, then we have a lot of questions to answer in the world to come.